Shalom Mashpaka. It is 6:15 here, where I spent the night. This little rest stop, and I'm getting ready to pull out. Got my fresh cup of coffee here. There's a family of some form of little rodent. I don't mean that in a derogatory way. That I don't know why, but it sounds negative. It's a little family. There's a couple little babies, and then there's like a larger one that's like a mama. I can't tell if it's mole or badger or possum. I don't really know. But I wanted to try to see if I could get them on the camera for you. Just one moment. Let me back up out of here. Pull on, nobody comes. I don't get in anybody's way. I'm gonna try to swoop back in to where I was, kind of sideways. Move big old Abigail around a little bit. Really just in the golden grass. Oh, look. Oh, you see them all going? They're running back towards their hole or something. You guys see them? There's still the big one there. Big one there ain't moving too much at all. There's actually two. There goes the big one moving. See them waddling back towards wherever they dwell. So cute. Baruk Atah Yahuah. Well, today is a preparation day, and it is the last leg of my journey home for the Shabbat, and then we have I think it ends up being one day. Okay. It's actually, I think it's, oh, maybe it is one day. And then it's a new moon. Let me see if I can get the calendar open. I wasn't planning to do this, but I'll do it because it's important. Baruk Yahuah. So the 10th is when she is seen in Shemayim. So tomorrow Shabbat, then the next day is the pagan day, Thursday, July 10th. And she will be high and lifted up in that evening. And so we will have a feast on Friday, July 11th. You guys, Qadashayam assembly. Blow the shofar, an offering made by fire unto Yahuwah. I'm gonna try to skate and get my booty home. I think it ends up being, yeah, okay, 6 o'clock Washington time, which is the time zone I'm in again. So maybe I can even be home before noon. Baruk Yahuah. This person got their tent popped up in their little Toyota, just camping underneath the tree. Hallelujah. So yesterday, when I was driving north on 5, there was a tremendous amount of smoke because they got wildfires in California again, and I feel that it's going to get much, much, much worse. I got up and I even looked, did a little Googling, because I'm thinking it's going to be in the news already. But what I I saw was 2 days ago, they were reporting that it was the worst. Or something like this, the headline said. So let me see if I can see. I sent it to my shop. She's been saying that when I think she said before I go to an area, it has something like whirlwinds and California's largest wildfire nears 80,000 acres as smoke triggers health. So they're calling it California's largest wildfire. Anyways, I continue to feel that there's going to be a type of judgment that comes into an area after I leave. She's saying that it's coming before I get there. I don't know. Maybe it's both, because after all, the land is coming under judgment. The hand of the restrainer is moved, and evil is beginning to have its way. I mentioned before, and I just want to say again, like, I go into these cities and I see these billboards, and I look at the entities on the billboards, and they are demonic. And so they're going to say that I have that disorder, right? Well, what I have is discernment from Yahuwah. I don't know if I mentioned, but after I come through the smoke and while I was going through the mountains, the check engine light was on. And I was bummed. I was like, oh no, Baba. Allowing to him. The check engine light was on the entire time as well when I got to the rest area where I did spend the night. But now it's off. Hallelujah. I'm pretty sure it's all emissions related stuff. The truck is running strong the entire time. But can't like that. No, ain't nobody like it when the check engine light comes on, bro. Can't like that. So I don't know what this guy up here is hauling. It's no exaggeration. They look like ginormous glad bags strapped down. I don't necessarily know that you can strap that way. But maybe you can. You most certainly can. But see, he keeps getting back over, but I want to try to like let him. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead, bro. Come on, man. You're not gonna come? Alright, I'm gonna increase my speed, family, because he's gonna get off. Anyway, I wanted to let you see the load anyway. I don't know what that is. Those things are weird, bro. They're like gigantic glad bags. Whatever it is, it's probably heavy. Hey, bro, you got me going 75 just to get out your way. I'm trying to tell you to go. I'm not as convinced as I once was. I always looked at these truckers as being very road wise. And a lot of them are, but not all anymore. What the hell's going on? Some kind of weird invasion, what it is. Super strange. Excuse me. I can't like it, I'll tell you that. But it matches the things that I see. In nature, in the cities, in this land, regardless. regarding judgment and everything else. So it is what it is. His will be done. So be it. Hallelujah. Alright, I'm going to pop off for a moment. Smoke some coffee here. Listen to a little bit of this stuff. I did see the little press meeting thingy with Netanyahu and Trump. And Bibi was saying, hey, I wrote a letter about you, Donna. I wrote a letter to whoever it is that gives the Peace Prize. Recommending you for it. You know, you should have got it for the Abraham Accords. You should have got it for all these other. Trump was listing out his peace accomplishments in the last 3 weeks. And of course, now they're very confident that they're going to arrive at some sort of ceasefire or peace agreement with Gaza, who actually doesn't have any. You have to understand what these groups, what these boogeyman groups are. Sourced in military intelligence and funded by the very governments that cry out. It's their own problem, reaction, solution. And they do this in coordination, conjunction together. And I think that some of these things are the reasons why my other 2 lengthy videos just disappeared right off of this device. No idea. Vanished. Poof. That ain't right. Can't nobody like that. Can't nobody like that, bro. One was an entire day. We had just gorgeous things that we were looking at all throughout the day. We had all different kinds of topics and conversations that Abba Yahuah has given us chew on and talk about. Stop the recording. It says processing the video. I don't think I've ever seen that happen before. And then it never showed up as a thumbnail in the Google Photos. It just never was there. And I did another test, a shorter one, 2.5 hours. Nada. Keep in mind, I've been doing the exact same process for over a month. So, you tell me, what do you discern in your Ruach? Alright? Back. Shalom, Shalum, Baruk Atah Yahuah. Thank you for this day. Please give us all your guilt, Shalom, and Yashar'Al. In Yahusha's name. Alright, so I wanted to let this guy, I heard this guy earlier, and I think what he has to say is pretty profitable in the truth, and so I wanted to include it on here and let you all hear it. I was talking earlier about Trump and Netanyahu's meeting and all their patting each other on the back and doing the whole thing. You know, the Rod teaches us not to go by what people say with their lips, but what they do in their actions, right? Like Yahusha said, these people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Okay? Feelings aren't facts, and you know, what they say is going on isn't what's going on. What's going on is what's going on. Sometimes to find out what's really going on, you have to You have to listen to outside voices because you are in a controlled system. You know, someone posted this little meme, the TikTok rabbit, whatever. They're like, if you want to know what's really going on, you first need to wake up to the fact that everything you've ever been taught was a lie. And I felt like saying, yeah, including your political party and your church, because the person who posted that, although I love dearly, is in a prison by the political party and the church still. Irony, right? This is the ironic thing about people who say that they're awake or believe that they're awake. I guess they're dreaming that they're awake. I don't know. But what we have is what they call forcible displacement. Okay? Even if you create the situation which causes people to want to flee from where they are, this too is a war crime. And you know, and make no mistake that the highest court in the world, whatever, you know, whether we agree with them or not, they're still the highest court in the world, actually has issued a warrant for Bibi Benjamin Netanyahu, right? So he's being praised and received in Washington and White House and everything else. It's just a complete blatant disregard for that institution. It's pretty remarkable what's going on, okay? And so these powers and these entities are committing these atrocities, and then they're over here patting themselves on the back and trying to create the illusion that they're giving the Palestinians free choice. Oh, they should be able to choose wherever they want to go. Well, they should be able to choose to not have to go anywhere as well, that they've been there. You know what I'm saying? So let's listen to what this guy has to say and how he breaks it down. They just said that he's a columnist with Ha'aratz, which means the earth. Or they'll probably say it means the world, right? Turn this on.
Held plans to that effect.
I can't believe there was a very planned program, for sure not up to details. You know, there is also a dream of many Israelis to see the West Bank being ethnically cleansed. The dreams are there. Now came the opportunity. And the opportunity came now in Gaza, but put your eye also on what's going on in the West Bank, because very similar things happen there, but on a much smaller scale, because in the West Bank it will be much harder. But yes, there are big parts of Israeli society who would love to see Palestine or Israel between the river and the sea totally pure Jewish. Sure.
What does the White House want here? How do Israelis feel about a Trump Riviera development there on the shores of Gaza?
Yeah, I didn't take it seriously from the first moment, and it shouldn't be taken seriously because I think Donald Trump doesn't take it seriously. Really, between us and the Riviera in Gaza, there are a few obstacles on the way, and none of us, Nastasia, will be witnessing a Riviera in Gaza. Let's first of all change Gaza.
Oh, that's interesting. What an interesting interruption that is. Some unknown number from Florida calling me. I haven't had any connection to anything there in over 5 years, really. Oh boy.
Normal place where human beings can live with dignity. Let's first of all make Gaza a free place. The Riviera's dreams are good for billionaires like Donald Trump. But human beings should look at what's going on now in Gaza and try, by the end, already to start the rehabilitation of Gaza, which nobody speaks about. The only rehabilitation is now to create a new concentration camp in the southern part of the Gaza Strip.
You call it a concentration camp, Gideon. I see the Israelis are calling it a humanitarian city. Where are the Palestinians meant to go if they're presented with...
See, just that is a perfect example of what I'm saying. It's weaponization of language. It's like, it's brainwashing. They're using this terminology to create an image that's not even close to the reality of the situation. Not even close. If you believe what these guys are saying, I would encourage you to test the other witnesses. Go and listen to what the displaced peoples themselves are saying. The bombarded peoples, the starving peoples. Listen to what they are saying. Right? You need to hear both sides of a matter before you actually render a judgment. Right? But see, that's the delusion that most people are in, is that they somehow just listen to what they're getting from their local Medea, who is a goddess of illusion and a foreign mighty one, and they figure they know what's going on. But you need to have the rest of the story, as they put it.
What is essentially a false choice to stay in this concentration camp or leave Gaza. Who's going to agree to take them? This has been a clear red line for so many countries in the region.
Yes, it is a red line, but I'm not sure the world will react according to the red line, because red line also, because, that's obviously an implicit, clear crime of war, which should be followed by real actions and sanctions if it will be implemented. But, the world gives Israel much more credit than any other country, and Israel can do things that no other country can do. In any case, the idea is to take at least part of the 2.3 million people of Gaza and just lock them in a ghetto. They declare it even now, nobody will be able to leave the ghetto. I don't speak about the circumstances within the ghetto. When you take 600,000 or 1 million people in such a tiny piece of land, you can just imagine yourself what will grow there. So, as I said already, my real hope is that this will never be implemented. If this is going to be implemented, we are really facing a new phase of behavior of Israel, which is really unprecedented. Even the talkings about it, are outrageous, and the fact that not enough Israelis stand against it and fight it and demonstrates against it is really, really troubling.
Gideon, you're referring there to Defense Minister Israel Katz's proposal that there is this so-called, he calls it a humanitarian city, but it is essentially, as you say, a concentration camp where they're planning to put initially 600,000 Palestinians into that camp and not allow them to leave. It would be managed by Israel. There is talk that they want to push the whole population of Gaza, more than 1 million people, into the ruins of Rafah. I mean, is there any worry that this could scupper any form of ceasefire negotiations?
No, I don't think so, because the ceasefire is an interim agreement, a technical agreement, which will guarantee hopefully 60 days of ceasefire and release of some of the hostages and some of the Palestinian prisoners. This is not an ending the war, and not a release of all the hostages, and not the release of all the Palestinian prisoners. So this step can be implemented without anything influencing it, as long as Donald Trump will push Israel enough, and as long as Netanyahu wants to do it. Until 2 days ago, I was quite convinced that it's going to be signed, but let's cross our fingers that at least this, even though I must say again and again, it's very little. It's not a solution for anything.
Gideon Levy, economist for Haaretz, an Israeli news publication. Always great to get your thoughts and insights. Gideon, thank you so much for joining us.
You know, it's a thing that they say. It's very true what he was saying about that state getting away with things that no other nation in the world will get away with. And then look at how he is received. He's going to be going to the Congress. Watch the worship. It's coming. It's off the charts. It's next level. Yeah. Oh, you know, we're just the size of New Jersey. But yeah, okay, that may very well be, but your influence? Why is it saying 405 exit only? I don't want to go 405. You can't like that, bro. Is international, global, right? These massive conglomerate, corporate entity, investment, all these huge things, right? It's very crowded here. This is Portland. Not exactly what I would call appreciating creation. Out the window. And also, dang, you got a really bright, white, hot sun right out your window there. You probably can't see much of anything. It's probably all silhouetted. So I guess they're going to be very proud of their. I don't know what just happened. I think I just got off on a road I didn't want to get off on. Say their sky car. I guess I have to take 405 north now. I was trying to just stay on 5 the whole time. What a mess. Look at this concrete jungle, man. This is just disturbing, dude. So I guess I'll be back on 5 and 3 miles. Could be favor from Ava that I got on that 405 north. I don't know. The regular I-5 through that little section could be extremely busy, gridlocked. Just lost my backup camera. Everybody wants to go to Beaverton right now. Out here. It's very backed up. But I got 2.4 miles to get back on 5 north. That's what I want to do. It's weird because there's like mold or something on a lot of this concrete. I'm not talking about these vines. Those are cool. I'm talking about this black looking mold that's on everything around here. What is that? What the heck is that? Underneath these cities is a very great evil. And it's drawing all the reprobated blinded, sealed, given over, etc. And it's a buffet for demons. That's what Yahuwah showed me. They're going to be feasting in plenty. And we need to steer clear of these places. Looks like I stay right here. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna try to jump off for now. I'll be back again. Abba willing. So, Shalom. Alright. Come out of that concrete jungle, technically in Washington now. Still have an hour and a half till my next stop, which is fuel stop. Get some more coffee. So I wanted to say too, like this idea that, oh yeah, you know, Palestinians should be allowed to go wherever they want to go. They should be encouraged to go wherever they want to go. Well, they want to stay where they are, one, right? Okay, that's obviously, we already talked about the forcible displacement, crimes against humanity, actually a ruling made by this high court of the world and all that. So I was listening to a guy yesterday. He's a entrepreneur. He has 10 people in his family. He's been living in Gaza. He, along with several others, referred to it as the world's largest outdoor prison. That's what they've been calling it for a very long time, right? And you know, now this idea that they want to take them all and cram them into an even smaller outdoor prison and call it something that just sounds great. Oh, it's a humanitarian city, right? Just like, oh my gosh, this big truck just is trying to change lanes like right into me, dude. Just like they call the unaliving of innocence health care, right? It's a oxymoron. Anyway, this entrepreneur was explaining that he would have to come up with $50,000 because it's $5,000 per person. And this isn't like money that goes to a smuggler to transport you out. It's some kind of processing fee that exists. Okay, so there's basically two ports or two entry and exit points. One is on the north is Israeli controlled, and one in the south is Egyptian. And so, you know, I just don't want people to have the illusion that it's like, why do they need to stay there? They don't need to go. They should go to another country that's Palestinian friendly, where they can work and go to school and different things. Like, not everybody even has that ability. And the average, they said that the average family has been displaced 10 times in the past 2 years. They're told to go to this place that it's safe, and then that instantly becomes not safe, and they go somewhere else, and that's not safe, and it's just kind of like this constantly. You know, a huge percentage of all the buildings, all the structures, all the hospitals, everything else is destroyed. So it's a displaced people who don't have financial means. They don't have access to food. They don't have access to water. They don't have access to medicine. They don't have access to baby formula. They just, you know what I mean? So, like, talking about it like, oh, they have the free wills, they can do whatever they want to do and all that. It's just a complete fallacy. Everything about it is fantasy. Okay? I feel like that's something that should be known and should be understood. I mean, ultimately, you know, Yahuwah is going to be the one who makes the judgment and the determination. I'm just sharing my understanding. And I've said for a long time, and I will still say it the same, the Palal should be Abba Yahuwah, you know, bring about your judgment soon. Bring about your wrath upon the guilty, the wicked. Yeah. And give chesed, give favor to the victims. Both sides are claiming to be victims, so let Yahuah work that out. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, curious what may come of this little program. It's called The Stream, and they'll bring on people and have discussion and stuff like this. So I don't deny that any form of media, news, magazine, newspaper, anything else like this is controlled. It's all propaganda. We have to wade through all these things and test everything against the scripture and let the Ruach Ha'Qadash lead us into all truth. Okay? But I think it's important to absorb different perspectives and hear some accounts that are, first-hand accounts, not just official narrative or that sort of thing. No, I don't know what he's saying. I can't read it.
مكان احسن لبني بلد كامله في بلاد برا.
Social media videos that were uploaded by actual Palestinians in Gaza.
I'm still trapped in Gaza. I still have my university offers, but the window to leave is still closed.
Please, I'm asking you to help me, to help my children, to leave Gaza to a safety place.
I'm glad that I'm leaving today, and I'd like to thank the Australian government.
Some of these people are begging to be able to leave and they can't.
I'm very sad as well. At the same time, I'm leaving my family behind in very, very scary situation.
On this episode, we're going to talk to two Palestinians who have left Gaza. How do they keep going after experiencing such trauma? They left their old lives behind, friends, family, and homes. How does one rebuild one's life, and is it even possible as the war rages on? To talk about all of this, I am joined by Safwat Kahlout, Al Jazeera's Gaza producer who evacuated with his family in March of last year, and Abu Bakr Ahmed, Palestinian journalist and commentator who left Gaza 2 months ago. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. Safwat, I want to start with you. Safwat, for the best part of 15 years, took care of me as I went in and out of Gaza. He has a very large family, a very wonderful family. The decision to leave Gaza, how hard was it for you to make that call?
Well, it's the hardest decision that I have ever made in my life because my life there in Stephanie in Gaza. I have been building, or I had been building a stable life, well-organized life with my children. They were frequenting universities and schools, and life was almost normal despite living in the biggest open-air prison in the world, which is Gaza. But since the war started in October 7th, things are became different. As you know, we in Gaza, we have all the time been living under wars, bombardment, escalations, but we managed to survive and we managed to continue our life. But this time we realized that Israel or the Israeli occupation forces have been getting all the red line ever. So this decision as a father I had to make. It was, as they said, the most difficult decision I ever made in my life. To leave Gaza just behind you and take all your family and flee anywhere. My aim is just to leave Gaza anywhere to keep my family in a safer place. And frankly, physically, I left Gaza, but the soul and our hearts are still connected to our homes and our families there.
it is impossible to imagine, other for those, of course, who are living it, what that feels like. Abu Bakr, what was it like for you? How hard was it to leave? I understand you left alone.
That's correct. I left alone, left my family behind, my memories, and this is the first time in my life that I have left Gaza. And leaving was the most agonizing decision for me that I've ever had to make. You know, I'm just 22 years old. There's nothing that I really did in my life, so I was obliged to leave my family, to leave my people behind, and my friends and everything that I really had was my homeland. Also, when we think about it, like the questions that I'm still asking myself all the time, they are still haunting me every single second. That will I ever return again? Will I embrace my family again? Will my family be bombed? Will I read their news? That sort of trauma is truly unbearable, and that's what is making things very hard. And also when we talk about safety, because you're talking about the survival means when your heart starts healing, but your heart is not healing, your heart is still there, self-upset, and you're still being traumatized every single day. Even here in Ireland, when we talk about where I am at the moment, I still feel when I ever hear nearby airplane, civilian airplane or helicopter, agriculture helicopter, I still feel that trauma that this airplane or helicopter is going to bomb nearby, and that I still have nightmares that I would see my family killed, that I would not ever go back to my family. So what does it mean?
All right, so the entrepreneur guy that was talking about the $50,000, he did say that he was able to leave because he has something that most people don't have. He has some kind of like dual citizenship with the country Italy, so he was able to use that resource in order to relocate his family. I don't remember how this young fellow is able to get to Ireland, is exactly why, what the situation or anything like that. But they also continually emphasize, like, even though they may be physically removed and safe, they're tied to the land. They're connected to the land. They can't escape that. They can't just. This is part of the whole thing too with the forcible displacement. I mean, I don't know. You may have a feeling like you want to dwell in a certain place. You may be called to a certain place. If you're forced to go anywhere else, for whatever reason, you still have that connection, that tie. Because we have these different groups of people that claim to have rights to this land, I think it's important to talk about it from a scriptural perspective. That after the flood, the sons of Noah made an oath before Yahuah, and they cast lots to divide up the land. Japheth, Sham, and Ham. Okay? So, scripturally speaking, by that understanding, because there is this oath, and Yahuah bind them to the oath, and if someone squats in someone else's land or trespasses in someone else's land, it's a very serious offense to Yahuah. It can never be okay. No matter how much force they're able to exercise, no matter how much military intelligence or financial assets or military technology, whatever, no matter who their friends are, it doesn't somehow make it Qadash. And there is a group of people that say that they are Yashar'Al but do lie. This is from the scripture, Revelation 2:9, Revelation 3:9. Okay? This is an offense to Yahuah, the same as the fallen angels coming down to the earth, trespassing here, mixing their own seed with Yahuah, Adam. This is like an unforgivable trespass. You know this from the book of Chanuk. They actually sent Chanuk to go and petition on their behalf and seek some form of forgiveness, and the message came back that they are not forgiven. They will not be forgiven. Okay? This is why the demonic entities and the spirits that were released when the giants were slayed haunt us all to this day and have such hatred and jealousy and everything else. Okay? They want to make war with Yahuah, Hamashiach, and the Qadashayam, the remnant, the seed, the displaced people. That's the bottom line. And he is going to come back, and he is going to make it all right, and he is going to exercise that vengeance at the appointed time. That's what we're waiting for. That's why we halal and all these things. Come, Yahusha, come. Baruk Atah Yahuah. I think I just got some messages from my Yapa Shah. She's probably getting her yum started. So I'm going to go see if I can catch up with her a little bit. That she usually has quite a few things on her plate. I just want to say, hi baby, I love you, I'll see you soon, in case you ever watch this. Alright, Shalom Mashpaka, Shalom. Okay. There's another, excuse me, there's another guy here that I would like you to listen to. He's going to outline the crimes and break down the international law, legality, and help to give some perspective and understanding of just how irrelevant the things that these guys are saying when they're patting each other on the back and whatever. Which is obviously like, that's the little snack that most Americans are going to be fed about what's really happening there. And that's sadly about as deep sometimes as the perspective really even goes. But please listen to and discern, test, apply rules of logic. Just listen to this because it's really just this simple. It's really just so plain. And like I said, know them by their fruits. Know them by their fruits. Baruk.
We have to start with the illegality of Israel's presence in and of itself. Israel has no right even to be in Gaza or in the West Bank. And therefore, everything Israel does there, because its presence is illegal, is also illegal, including the way it treats the Palestinian people at the moment, and in any implementing any of these plans for forced displacement, whether within or outside of Gaza. Any such action is part of a presence which is itself illegal as a violation of the right of self-determination of the Palestinian people, and also as an unlawful use of force and aggression. So that's our starting point. Then also there are other rules of international law that Israel would be breaching, rules which are concerned with not whether Israel's presence is illegal, which is the case, as I've explained, but rather the way Israel conducts itself as part of that presence. And there indeed we have very clear rules of international law which prohibit the forced transfer of the population within Gaza, or indeed also the West Bank. Not only transfer outside of that territory, but also forced transfer within it. Such forced transfer is illegal. It's illegal as a grave violation of the laws of war, and is therefore both a violation of international law on the part of Israel as a state, but also a war.
With my Phillips Latte Go, it's always...
Whoa, sorry, that's the very pushy, invasive commercial. Again, they come in with increased volume. Oh, so frustrating. Like, no one wants it, no one appreciates it. It's like an unwanted guest that just barges into the living room while you're having a gathering, you know? So why is it allowed to continue? Sorry, this is a very long advertisement.
To try and create a rapprochement within the framework of the salvation.
He just got
we are drafting
off.
an initial document and create the perfect or ideal environment for those.
Yeah, it just transitions to a completely different thing, which is basically the leader of Qatar. They're probably going to talk about what he's saying, or some kind of representative from Qatar. I don't know.
The Qatar Foreign Ministry spokesperson.
But they're basically coming out onto the world stage saying that they're against the relocation. It doesn't matter what you call it, they're against it, right? So, yeah, that's an interesting thing. I mean, it seems like it ultimately will remain to be a dividing line. Point of contention, some source of conflict, chaos, etc. Because, like I said, it's completely against the will of Yahuwah for anyone to trespass. He takes trespasses very seriously. You know. Trespassers of his will and his commandments are going to endure the same fate as those fallen entities who are trespassing, like I said. And if you go look in the book of Hanuk, it's going to tell you that those places that are described in Sheol and the lake of fire and everything else are designed for that purpose. So don't allow yourself to suffer the same fate as them. Come out of her and come into his will, submit to him, right? Accept him, fear him, honor him, obey him, or you will perish. You know, you will. It's actually worse than perishing because it's everlasting torture. It's everlasting fire.
The Majd al-Ansari making it clear that they have their work cut out for them, that huge gaps remain, that they're trying to bridge in discussing a framework for the future talks.
that have yet to begin officially between Israel and Hamas. But what has been happening over the past 3 days is that there's been discussions about the framework of what those talks would look like. Without going into any details, he said that there's been positive engagement from all sides. So clearly there is momentum to move the discussion forward and trying to reach an end to this deadly and violent war that has been going on in Gaza. I also asked the Foreign Ministry about the comments made by the Israeli Defense Minister, Israel Katz, about the idea that the Israelis would like to move the Palestinian population in the Gaza Strip into what they're calling a humanitarian city, but what is essentially what has been described as a concentration zone. This would be an area in Rafah in southern Gaza that would not allow the Palestinians who live there to move around freely or to leave the designated area. The Foreign Ministry spokesperson said that he is not aware of this plan or idea. It has not come up during these talks so far, and that as far as Qatar is concerned, the idea of relocation or expulsion of Palestinians from their own land is against international law, and they would condemn any such actions or plans. He said also the international community is behind this sentiment and that it would be condemned worldwide. For now,
so there you go. See, that's there's going to be those that want to stick to the international laws and norms, right? And then there's going to be those that are just going to go the U.S. The U.S. is 1,000% in bed with Netanyahu. I don't know. I mean, obviously, not every citizen or American is, but you're seeing in other Western nations already that if you take the side of the displaced peoples, the genocided peoples, that is a crime. At this point, it's a thought crime, like my Shah was saying, a pre-crime. Maybe it's a pre-crime, you know, and maybe there will be some information on your device, your cellular phone, or your computer or something that can be used against you. Qadashayam should never shrink back from, calling something that's Qadash, Qadash, and calling something that's wicked, wicked. We don't compromise in this area, right? We don't say that something's clean that's unclean, and we don't say that something's unclean that's clean. And that's a very important thing for us to stand firm on Torah. To be bold and have no fear of man, but fear only Elohim. Hallelujah. Shalom, shalom. Did you know that the United States gives $3 billion a year to Israel for military aid? Remember what I said. Watch what happens when he goes in front of those lawmakers and policymakers and the ones who actually, as they say, control the purse strings. Keep all that in mind too. Like, when I drive around and I see all this, I see a lot of dilapidated farms and folks living in rough trailers all over the place. I see these old run-down railway cars that are rust-colored and graffitied, and I see construction just about every road. You know, I mean, we see this stuff, planes, trains, automobiles, bridges, railways, airports, all this stuff, right? $3 billion a year. I mean, are you okay with that? You know, the alt-right, the exgen, lawless, idolatrous circus in America are, because they're brainwashed, actually think that somehow that group represents the scriptures. What a strong delusion it is, indeed. Alright, I found another little piece of propaganda here. Let's listen to it and see. I have no idea what we're going to really hear. This is that Pete Hegseth, and there's like Pam Bondi, and I think they're going to try to explain some of the benefits to the BBB, Big Beautiful Bill, Bunker Buster Bomb, Better Business Bureau, whatever. I think, I don't know, let's see.
For your incredible leadership on this issue. It's an honor to be here. It's a very important one. I think we're all here for two basic reasons. One, under President Trump's leadership, we're going to put America first. We have America, American land, American basing, American troops, American citizens. You have a Secretary of Homeland Security who cares about Homeland Security. You have an attorney, imagine that. You have an Attorney General that cares about justice. You have a Secretary of Agriculture that cares about our farmland and our farmers. You have governors who've led the way, and senators and congressmen who now have reinforcements from an America First movement. That it's about America First, but it's also just the application of common sense. As someone who's charged with leading the Defense Department, I want to know who owns the land around our bases and strategic bases, and getting an understanding of why foreign entities, foreign companies, foreign individuals might be buying up land around those bases. That's something I should be paying attention to on behalf of the American people, on behalf of my department, and on behalf of the president. It's common sense. Common sense.
Everything sounds great. I mean, you know, they're going to be telling the people what the people want to hear. The thing is, do you just believe it? Right? Do we just believe it? I think I heard yesterday that White House press secretary saying that the fuel was at some record low when weighed with inflation and this and that. You know, I'm seeing diesel over $5 a gallon. I don't understand that math. That math ain't mathin' for me. I see an entire industry of people, trucking and RV transporting, etc., talking about the fuel costs, how it's forcing them to be in situations where they're not even making money on their loads. I talked to an RV transporter at one of the stops while I was waiting my turn for my shower, who said that he took this load that was from California to Idaho Falls, and by the time he got the fuel, that he ended up not making any money. Whatever money that he made went right back into his fuel tank, and so he doesn't know what he's going to do, and he's looking for a load, and he's like, he's with a company called Indiana Transport, and he's showing me the load board on his tablet, and he was scrolling, it was just like, and I was like, whoa. I said, you know what, my company right now has 0 loads on the load board. I don't know if that's going to change. I don't know what's going on. I just checked a little bit ago, and it's the second business day following the 4th of July weekend. So just to blame it on the 4th is not really working anymore. And then other people are like, oh, well, because the manufacturers are closed. Well, we have units in the yard. It's not that there are no more units, it's that there's no units being assigned right now. And maybe it's going to change. I still allow that it does change. I'm just saying that's what's happening. Testable, observable, may it not be repeatable.
And so food security, just like energy resilience, just like where we get our water, that's all national security, especially in a contingency. So we would be asleep at the wheel if we were not fully a party to an effort like this to ensure that our nation had the food supply it needs, but specifically our troops have what they need on our bases, so that in those moments you can rely on us here in the United States to provide that security. So no longer can foreign adversaries assume we're not watching and we're not paying attention and we're not doing something about it, because we are. So Brooke, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You know, the clown show that was there before is a perfect excuse for why things aren't better now. But trust us, we're making everything better. Left-right paradigm, political party, buying into the whole thing, red team, blue team, Randy Savage versus Hulk Hogan, you know what I mean? Or whatever, Clippers, Nets, and as if there's not an influence through the ref. You know what I mean? The gig is rigged.
Please help me welcome to the podium to speak of the agro-terrorism threats, our incredible Attorney General, Pam Bondi.
Thank you all, and we know Texas is your home state. Secretary Rollins, our hearts go out to all those in Texas and the families, as well as in North Carolina, who are also experiencing those horrible floods. We're so happy to be here today to protect our farmers, our ranchers, and our ag community. Under President Trump, we are proudly putting our farmers first again. Thank you to our Congress, our governors, all of the great people who have gathered here today. My job is to make America safe again, which includes protecting our farmers who feed our families. The Department of Justice will use every tool at our disposal to secure, defend, and protect our ag community from threats. Our Environmental and Natural Resources Division has successfully defended the Forest Service as it manages our forest. We're also defending mining critical and strategic minerals, which is very important.
Does it make any sense to anyone that some sort of propped up big tech genius, computer entrepreneur, let's block out the sun guy is accumulating all this farmland, or that you have to take Qadash things like beef and chicken and somehow turn them into threats and whatnot? So I know, like, as soon as I say these things, I can already hear the brainwashed masses being like, that's liberal agenda, these guys are against that stuff and they're gonna fix it. You mean just like how the fluoridation is still not fixed, or the chemtrails are still not fixed, or the genetically modified foods are still not fixed, or the diesel prices aren't really actually factually at all-time record lows, like those kinds of things? Keep drinking the Kool-Aid, bro.
To our nation's security. We're cracking down on pesticide trafficking, and we are doing this by closing the southern border, working hand in hand with our great Kristi Noem, where illegal and highly toxic chemicals from Mexico were smuggled into the U.S., and the Department of Justice is prioritizing the arrest of those illegal aliens doing it. Additionally, our National Security Division is actively monitoring foreign threats to American agriculture. Last month in Michigan, this is very frightening, we charged 2 Chinese nationals for attempting to smuggle potential agro-terrorism weapons into the United States. Both of them have ties to the CCP. Just days later, we arrested another Chinese citizen for sending packages of concealed biological materials into the United States. It's going to stop. FBI has opened over 100 bio-smuggling investigations in recent years. We will prosecute you. We will hold you accountable. Thank you to everyone who is here today, especially Secretary Rollins, Secretary Hegseth, all of our good friends, governors, my good friends, Governor Huckabee, and we will, all of us, will never back down from supporting our American farmers. God bless you. God bless America.
Next, the incredible Homeland Security Secretary, Kristi Noem, everyone.
Well, good morning, and I am so blessed and pleased to be here with Brooke, who is a dear friend of mine, and our hearts and prayers still continue to go out with Texas, and I'll be back down there in a few days to spend more time with them and to help them continue to heal and with recovery efforts. The one thing I wanted to share with all of you today is that long before I had the honor of serving as President Trump's Homeland Security Secretary, I was a farmer. I was a rancher. In fact, I've worked on food policy for over 30 years. And I recognize that food policy is national security policy. A country who cannot feed itself, cannot take care of itself, and cannot provide for itself is not secure. And that we have to be able to feed ourselves to make sure that no other country ever controls us. And I've watched for decades as evil foreign governments, including China, have come into this country and they've stolen our intellectual property. They've manipulated their currency. They've treated us unfairly in trade deals. They've come in and purchased up our processing companies, stolen our genetics. In fact, I've worked in this building off and on commissions and projects and laws and different statutes to ensure that China did not completely take control of our entire food supply chain, recognizing that the United States of America would be in jeopardy if that ever were to happen. I've watched them come in and establish a presence in stealing our chemicals, in providing our fertilizer for us. And so 2 years ago, when I served as governor of South Dakota, we passed a law in our state that said China and 6 other foreign evil governments would never own our farmland. And I'm very proud to say that in South Dakota, China does not own any of our land, nor will they ever own any of our land. While I served in Congress, I worked hard to put in programs that would help manage risk for farmers. I tell people all the time, farmers are the biggest gamblers that I know. They go to a bank oftentimes and they have to borrow money to buy land. Then they go back to the bank and they need machinery to work that land, and so they borrow some more money to do that. Then they have to go back and get an operating note to purchase seed and fertilizer, chemical potentially, and they put it in the dirt and they hope that months later it'll rain, the sun will shine, and that there'll be something there that they can pick up, that they can sell, and then that the markets that are beyond their control, that there will be a price there that will help them cash flow so they can go back and do it all over again the next year. They do that so that they can feed this country, so that they can feed this world. In fact, growing up as a little girl and as a daughter of a farmer and a rancher, I always felt like God loved farmers more. I mean, if you look at the Bible, look at Scripture, and you look over and over again, he talks about sowing and reaping and cattle on 1,000 hills and your barns to overflowing. And so I feel like there's a special blessing on farmers. And the fact that we have a president and that we have a Secretary of Agriculture that recognizes the importance of food policy and what it means to this country's security is so wonderful. It's such a change from what the previous administration and how they prioritized our farmers and ranchers.
These people have a tremendous amount of nerve to come out in front of the world and try to quote scripture or apply scripture. It's amazing, right? I don't know if I can believe anything he's saying. I guess that was probably one of the most shocking things that I ever came to understand. You know, obviously not everything is as letting that go right there. That's enough of that. 25 minutes away from the first stop, Baruk Yahuah. It was actually a lot further than I usually go. I might usually go about 2.5 hours or so before I make the first stop. This one was a little bit over 3 hours. So I'm ready. I'm ready for the stop. I'm going to be grabbing whatever fuel I can. The tank in the back is still completely filled. Hallelujah. And this tank up here is at 5/8. So I might be able to get like a half a tank. I wanted to try to get it here because it's really the last chance to get a price. I don't even know. Below $5. It's probably something like 462. 462. And that's with the corporate card. Like, that's not the pump price. It's crazy, bro. It is so insane. And if I have to hear another person get all fake about actually caring for people who are victims of weather events that are complicit in manipulation, well, I don't know what I would do other than what I'm already doing. Halali. Yahuah rebuke you. Yahuah rebuke you. Do not put any HOPEFAITH or TRUST in these wolves who claim to be for you. They are not. Baruk Yahuah. Well, Baruk Yahuah, I'm almost home. Spend time with my family. Preparation day. Tomorrow's Shabbat. Then we're going to have the new moon in the Shemayim the very next evening. And then we're going to have the summer feast, the new moon day of the 4th month. And it's, yep, beginning summer. Hallelujah. Yahuah. Maybe there'll be some loads on the load board. And I'm likely going to be uploading a bunch of videos that never made it up. And who knows, maybe even the 2 that were lost can be recovered. Abba can do anything. And if not, so be it. Shalom, shalom.